Hello everyone, I am the Golden Scouta, and welcome to my review of Dragon Ball Super Episode 123. I will be talking about the following categories for the review. Enjoy the video. So what I liked about this episode, aside from whenever Goku goes Ultra Instinct, I think that this is the most I have ever liked Goku in this tournament, because he's finally fighting seriously and using actual tactics. And he made a pretty good effort in almost knocking out Jiren. I also like the idea of Vegeta having his own unique transformation, instead of getting Ultra Instinct. I think as time goes along, we will learn more about this new transformation, and for now, I'm calling it Super Vegeta Blue. So what I did not like about this episode, I was hoping that now that we're in the finale, Super would stop opening up the episodes really slow and keep the exposition down, but unfortunately, it looks like we're going to keep getting these 2 to 4 minute slow starts to each episode. Kind of a bummer just because it's padding and it just takes away from the fights. Another thing, while I liked Goku in this episode, this is the episode I have hated Jiren the most. Not only was he the one suppressing himself for no good reason, but he fell so goddamn far off the ring and was not eliminated. I understand they want a cliffhanger for the commercial break, but who for a second thought Jiren was going to be eliminated there? Especially if you saw the image leaks. For the story and pacing, this was the Goku and Vegeta vs. Jiren episode, and really only at the end. And I would have to say that Vegeta's new transformation was both the highlight and kind of the low side of the episode for me. I'll go into the low side later, but the reason why it's such a highlight for me is because I like the idea of Vegeta having his own unique transformation that Goku doesn't even have. The fight between Goku and Jiren was cool and all, but it was basically filler. In fact, Goku and Vegeta could have done their power-ups at the beginning of last week's episode, and the only thing of real value that would be lost would be the interactions between Vegeta and Jiren. With the pacing, you already know I think that this episode is pretty heavily padded. So for the visuals and audio, this week's episode didn't look nearly as good as last week's, and it was pretty jarring. And the filter made Vegeta's transformation look really bad. It was just so overly bright and gross looking. And I thought the soundtrack placement in this episode was pretty bad as well. Ultimate Battle playing during the scene where Goku and Vegeta were attacking Jiren was so out of place, because what was happening was about the equivalent to when Goku and Piccolo were tag teaming against Raditz. And the scene where Gohan fired his Kamehameha against Toppo and No. 17, they decided to use this really upbeat track instead of one that reflects the scene, especially since No. 17 could have easily gotten eliminated. So for the character utilization, for Freeza vs. Dyspo, I thought Freeza just dusting himself off after Dyspo seemingly wrecked him took away from what we saw from Dyspo in last week's episode. It makes me wonder how speed alone can give Golden Frieza problems, since Dyspo doesn't even seem to be strong enough to give base Frieza any real problems. For Gohan and No. 17 vs. Toppo, I liked everything up until Gohan released his Kamehameha. I know No. 17 released his shield, which made Gohan cautious about damaging him, but Toppo was already on his way out, and No. 17 got out of the way, so it was completely unnecessary for Gohan to release it. And lastly, for Goku vs. Jiren, while I liked this fight, I have a hard time believing Goku can go from using his Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 on Jiren, giving Jiren no problems, and yet is able to fight with him in his normal blue state in this episode. This is why episode 122 should have just started with Vegeta getting his new transformation, and Goku going Blue Kaioken, and tag teaming against Jiren. The fight with Goku and Vegeta vs. Jiren just started, so it's too early for me to really judge it, besides that it reminds me of Goku and Piccolo vs. Raditz. So, for my overall rating for this episode, I will give it a 2 out of 5. Remember when I said I felt like last week's episode didn't really accomplish much? This week's episode somehow felt like it accomplished even less. And there is still 7 minutes in this tournament left. After this episode ended, I realized everything that happened before Vegeta transforming was basically a waste of time. Honestly, they could have dedicated 1 episode to Dyspo, 1 episode to Toppo, and maybe 2 to 3 episodes to Jiren, and that would have been a decent finale length, but it looks like it's going to be twice as long as it needs to be. I just don't have that much else to say about this episode. So next week, we're getting Gohan and Freeza versus Dyspo, and I have 2 questions. 1. How is Freeza having so much problems with Dyspo that he needs Gohan's help? And 2. Where is number 17 now? And if he is keeping Toppo busy, how is he doing that since he fought Toppo for like 10 seconds before getting caught in a lock? We'll just have to wait and see. I just really hope that something gets accomplished in next week's episode. So, that has been the review for today. Let me know what you thought of episode 123 and the next episode preview for 124 down below in the comments section. And with that, thanks for watching and have a great day everyone.